Somewhere in Mumbai, behind the walls of the most expensive private residence on earth, there is a garage that most people will never see. Inside, more than 150 cars sit in silence, but the ones that matter most are not the Ferraris or the Lamborghinis. They are 7 identical black sedans, each weighing over 4.5 tons, each lined with military-grade steel, each capable of surviving a sniper round from 800 meters away. These are not collector pieces. They are not status symbols. They are survival machines. And the man who owns them, Mukesh Ambani, the richest person in all of Asia, needs every single one of them just to leave his own house alive. The 7 identical ghosts. Picture this. A convoy rolls through the streets of Mumbai at 7 in the morning. Traffic parts. Motorcycle outriders sweep the intersections clean, and somewhere in the middle of the formation, buried behind tinted glass, so dark it looks like polished obsidian, sits one of the most powerful men on the planet. But here is the twist that keeps his enemies guessing. Nobody knows which car he is in, because every single vehicle in the center of that convoy looks exactly the same. Mukesh Ambani owns 7 Mercedes-Benz Maybach S680 Guard sedans. Not 6, not 8, exactly 7, all identical. Same paint, same wheels, same blacked-out windows. The idea is deceptively simple but devastatingly effective. If you cannot tell which car the target is riding in, you cannot hit the target. It is the automotive equivalent of a shell game played at 200 kilometers per hour. And each shell costs more than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes. Each of these sedans carries a price tag of approximately $12 million before taxes and customization. After Indian import duties, luxury surcharges, and the personal modifications that Ambani demands, the per-unit cost climbs even higher. Multiply that by 7, and the fleet of identical ghosts alone represents an investment north of $84 million. That is not a car collection. That is a private military budget disguised as a parking garage. But the price is not what makes these machines terrifying. It is the engineering underneath. The S680 Guard is not a regular Maybach with armor plates bolted on after the fact. That is amateur hour. This vehicle is built from the ground up inside the Mercedes-Benz Guard program at the factory in Sindelfingen, Germany. The armor is integrated directly into the frame, the skeleton, the DNA of the car. Every weld, every seam, every joint is designed to absorb and distribute the energy of a high-velocity impact. There are no weak points, there are no shortcuts, and there is absolutely no room for error. The protection level is rated VPAM VR10, the highest ballistic standard for any civilian vehicle on Earth. This car takes a direct hit from a 7.62x5 4mm armor-piercing sniper round and keeps rolling. The glass alone is nearly 10 centimeters thick, layered with polycarbonate that prevents fragments from spraying into the cabin. The doors weigh between 180 and 250 kilograms, each heavier than a full-grown lion, assisted by electric motors because no human arm could swing them open. The floor carries blast-resistant plating certified to ERV 2010, meaning this car survives a landmine or a grenade beneath the chassis. And then there is the detail that separates paranoia from genuine preparation. The cabin is sealed with an emergency fresh air supply that filters smoke, tear gas, and chemical agents. There is an automatic fire suppression system. There is an external speaker, so the occupants can communicate without cracking a window. This is not a car. This is a bunker that does 0 to 100 in under 9 seconds. But here is the kicker: even with a V12 twin-turbo engine cranking out 612 horsepower and 830 Newton-meters of torque through a 10-speed automatic and permanent all-wheel drive, this beast tops out at just 190 kilometers per hour. When your car weighs 4,500 kilograms, physics pushes back. The tires are Michelin run-flat units that travel 30 kilometers at 80 per hour even after being shredded by gunfire. Speed is not the point. Survival is. If you had a convoy of 7 identical armored cars, would you feel safe, or would you wonder what kind of threats require that level of protection? Drop your answer in the comments. The record that shook Maharashtra. Now, most billionaires would look at a fleet of 7 identical fortress sedans and call it a day. But Mukesh Ambani is not most billionaires. While the Maybach guards handle the daily grind of keeping him alive, There is another machine sitting in that Mumbai garage that made headlines not for what it could survive, but for what it cost to register. In 2015, Ambani took delivery of a BMW 760 Lehigh security sedan. The sticker price was already eye-watering, approximately 85 crore rupees, which translates to just over $10 million. But the real gut punch came when he walked into the Maharashtra Transport Office to register the thing. The registration fee alone came to 1.6 crore rupees, roughly $168,500, just to put a license plate on the car. That single registration payment set a record for the highest fee ever paid for a personal vehicle in the state. Let that sink in. The paperwork cost more than a luxury apartment, but the BMW 760 Lehigh Security earned every rupee of that price tag. Like the Mercedes Guard, this vehicle was assembled inside a dedicated armoring facility at the BMW factory in Germany, where the steel skeleton is reinforced before the interior even exists. The overall protection meets the BRV 2009 standard at VR7, with select armor panels reaching VR9. That means it can shrug off NATO standard 7, 6, 2, X, 5, 1mm rounds, and certain upgraded plates can handle armor-piercing variants that would punch through a concrete wall. The doors are lined with Kevlar, the same material used in military body armor. The windows are 65mm thick, laminated with polycarbonate that holds the glass together even after multiple hits, so that shrapnel never touches the skin of anyone sitting inside. The floor is hardened against explosions up to 17 kilograms of TNT. Imagine a grenade going off directly beneath your seat. Now, imagine walking away from it without a scratch. That is what this car promises. Under the hood sits a V12 twin-turbo 6.0-liter engine producing 544 horsepower and 750 Newton-meters of torque. That sounds monstrous until you realize the car weighs 3 full tons. Acceleration suffers, top speed drops. But the pulling power at low revs is immense, exactly what matters when you need to punch through a roadblock or accelerate out of an ambush zone. And here is what blows people's minds. From the outside, this car looks completely ordinary. Park it next to a standard BMW 7 Series long wheelbase, and the only tell is slightly thicker tires. It is a wolf in the most expensive sheep's clothing money can buy. Breaking the rules with Rolls-Royce. Here is a problem that only someone at Mukesh Ambani's level would ever face. Mercedes-Benz builds armored cars from the factory. BMW builds armored cars from the factory. But Rolls-Royce? Rolls-Royce does not play that game. The most prestigious automaker on the planet has never offered a factory armored vehicle. Not once. Not ever. They build cars for kings and presidents, but they leave the bulletproofing to somebody else. Most people would accept that and move on. Mukesh Ambani is not most people. He wanted a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, the brand's flagship SUV, a vehicle that already cost between 8 and 10 crore rupees in standard form, and he wanted it armored to a level that could stop an AK-47 round at point-blank range. So he went to Anant, India, a specialized armoring workshop in Chandigarh, and told them to make it happen. What rolled out of that workshop months later was the first armored Rolls-Royce Cullinan in Indian history. And it was a beast unlike anything the country had ever seen. The entire cabin was lined with ballistic steel roof, floor, pillars, doors, firewall, every surface sealed tight, with no gaps, no seams, no weak spots. The glass was replaced with multi-layered ballistic panels reinforced with polycarbonate, rated to withstand 7.62mm armor-piercing rounds from an assault rifle. The wheels were swapped for military specification run-flat units that could travel 50 to 80 kilometers even after being shot out. The transformation added several hundred kilograms, pushing the total weight to approximately 3.5 tons, almost a full ton heavier than the standard Cullinan. That kind of weight gain would destroy a normal car. So, Anant reinforced the entire drivetrain, upgraded suspension, heavy-duty brakes, recalibrated steering to handle the new reality of moving a small tank through city traffic. Under that reinforced hood, the original 6.75-liter V12 twin-turbo engine still pumped out 563 horsepower and an earth-moving 850 Newton-meters of torque, mated to an 8-speed automatic and permanent all-wheel drive. Enough muscle to keep the armored Cullinan surprisingly quick off the line, even carrying all that extra protection. The estimated price after the full armoring conversion, somewhere between 13 crore and over 20 crore rupees, that is $5 to $23 million depending on the level of customization. For a vehicle that Rolls-Royce never intended to be bulletproof, Ambani did not just buy a car. He flipped the script on one of the oldest automotive brands in existence, forcing the impossible into reality with nothing but money, vision, and a complete refusal to hear the word no. Mercedes and BMW build armored cars from the factory. Ambani forced Rolls-Royce into the game by going aftermarket. Which approach do you trust more, with your life factory armor or custom conversion? Tell me below. The Here's War Machine. If you thought the father's collection was over the top, wait until you see what the son is driving. Anant Ambani, the youngest heir to the Reliance Industries empire, does not settle for hand-me-downs. While his father moves through Mumbai in a fleet of understated black sedans designed to disappear into traffic, Anant took a hard left turn into something that looks like it rolled off a battlefield in a Hollywood war movie. His weapon of choice is the Dartz Prombron, a name that sounds less like a luxury SUV and more like a classified military project. And honestly, that is not far from the truth. Built by a small, ultra-exclusive manufacturer in Latvia, the Prombron is one of the rarest and most extreme armored vehicles available to private buyers anywhere in the world. This is not a car you find at a dealership. This is a car that finds you after your security team has already vetted you and your bank has confirmed you can afford it. The Dartz Prombron is built on the platform of a Mercedes Maybach GLS 600, already one of the most expensive SUVs ever produced. But where Mercedes stops, Dartz goes nuclear. The base protection starts at BR2, but can be upgraded to Stanag 2, a NATO military standard. At that level, this vehicle absorbs hits from 5.0 caliber armor-piercing rounds. A 50 cal can punch through engine blocks and concrete barriers, and this SUV eats it for breakfast. The glass is military-grade ballistic laminate. The tires are combat zone run-flat units. The cabin floor is hardened against mine blasts. And the interior? While the outside screams war zone, the inside whispers old money European palace, gold-plated accents, hand-stitched leather, bespoke finishing that would make a Rolls-Royce designer weep with envy. But the real jaw-dropper lives under the hood. The 4.0-litre V8 twin-turbo engine has been tuned to a staggering 800 horsepower with 1,000 Newton-meters of torque, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3.8 seconds. For an armored vehicle that can outrun a Porsche 911 off the line while carrying enough armor to survive a firefight, that is not engineering. That is black magic with a German accent and a Latvian passport. The price tag? Approximately $16 million, roughly 13 to 15 crore rupees after Indian taxes and personal touches. Reports suggest the Prombron was acquired for Anant's high-profile appearances throughout 2024 and 2025, including a wedding so extravagant it attracted world leaders and tech billionaires from 6 continents. Where his father values invisibility, Anant Ambani has chosen a different philosophy. His vehicle does not whisper, it roars. It does not blend in, it dominates. And in its own way, it sends a message just as clear as the 7 identical Maybachs: you are not getting through. The moving fortress. A bulletproof car means nothing if it travels alone. An armored sedan, no matter how advanced, is just a single point on a map, predictable, targetable, vulnerable. Mukesh Ambani understood this long before he bought his first armored Mercedes. That is why, every single time he leaves Antilia, his $2 billion 27-story private residence in South Mumbai, he does not just get into a car. He launches a full-scale military operation. The convoy that surrounds Ambani on any given day consists of 20 to more than 40 vehicles, depending on the threat level, the destination, and the intelligence his private security team has gathered in advance. On an ordinary Tuesday morning commute to Reliance headquarters, the formation runs lean about 20 vehicles. But during high-profile events, religious ceremonies, or international business summits, the convoy can stretch for hundreds of meters, shutting down entire city blocks with a rolling wall of steel, glass, and armed personnel. This is not a casual arrangement. This is Z+ security, the highest level of personal protection provided by the Government of India. It is a designation reserved for the Prime Minister, the President, and a handful of individuals whose safety is considered a matter of national security. Mukesh Ambani is one of them. Let that land for a moment. A private citizen, a businessman operating with the same security clearance as the head of state. At the center of the convoy sits the principal vehicle, usually one of the Maybach S680 Guards surrounded by decoys and escorts. Flanking the core are a minimum of 7 Mercedes-AMG G63 SUVs carrying armed counter-assault teams. Behind them come Range Rover Vogue and Range Rover Sport SVR units. The outer perimeter is staffed with Toyota Land Cruisers and MG Gloucesters carrying police officers and private security operatives. Lead vehicles clear the road ahead, scanning for threats. Tail vehicles watch the rear. A dedicated medical vehicle carries emergency equipment and trained paramedics because when you operate at this level, you do not wait for an ambulance. You bring the hospital with you. The total estimated value of the full convoy runs into the tens of millions of dollars. The annual operating cost salaries, fuel, armored vehicle maintenance, government coordination is estimated at well over $10 million per year, every year. Just to move one family from point A to point B in the city they already own a significant piece of. And here is the part that hits different. This is not paranoia. In 1993, coordinated bombings across Mumbai killed over 250 people and specifically targeted the city's business district. In 2008, armed gunmen laid siege to the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel less than 10 kilometers from Antilia. The threats are not hypothetical, they are historical, they are documented. And for a man worth over $100 billion, a man whose company accounts for roughly 5% of India's entire GDP, the question was never whether to spend this much on security. The question was whether spending this much is even enough. The price of being untouchable. Step back and look at the whole picture. 7 identical Maybach S680 Guards, worth over $84 million. A BMW 760 Li high security that cost $10 million plus $168,500 just to register. An armored Rolls-Royce Cullinan rebuilt at up to $23 million. A $16 million Dartz Prombron with gold-plated handles and supercar acceleration. And wrapping it all, a 40-vehicle convoy with Z+ protection and an annual security bill exceeding $10 million. But these armored cars are just the tip of the iceberg. The Ambani family garage holds between 120 and 170 vehicles. Rolls-Royce Phantom, Bentley Bentayga, Ferrari Purasangue, Lamborghini Aventador, and dozens more that most enthusiasts would sell a kidney to drive for 10 minutes. The armored fleet is just one layer of a lifestyle that operates on a scale most governments cannot match. And that is the real revelation. This is not about cars. It never was. This is about what happens when one human being accumulates so much wealth that civilian life stops applying. When your net worth crosses $100 billion, your commute is a military operation. Your front door is a 27-story fortress. Your parking garage costs more than an aircraft carrier. The older Mercedes Guards from the W221 and W222 generations still sit in the garage, maintained as backup units for family members. Nothing is discarded. The collection only grows, expanding with each new threat assessment and each new addition to a family that is already the most protected private household in Indian history. This is Mukesh Ambani's world, a world where protection is not a product you buy, but an ecosystem you build. A world where the garage alone tells a story more dramatic than most action movies. A world where the difference between life and death is measured in millimeters of ballistic glass and milliseconds of convoy coordination. Mukesh Ambani spends more on car armor than most countries spend on their leaders. Is this the price of success at the highest level, or proof that extreme wealth creates problems money can never fully solve? Let me know what you think. Before you go, here are 3 strategic truths from this story. First, true security is not a product, it is a system. Ambani does not trust one car, one brand, or one technology. He layers Mercedes factory armor over BMW military glass, over Rolls-Royce aftermarket steel, over a Latvian war machine, over 40 escort vehicles, over a government protection detail. Redundancy is not waste. Redundancy is survival. Second, Invisibility is the ultimate armor. 7 identical black sedans are not vanity. They are camouflage. The most powerful defense Ambani has is not the steel in his doors, it is the fact that nobody knows which door he is sitting behind. In a world obsessed with showing off, the richest man in Asia chose to disappear. Third, the real cost of extreme wealth is measured in freedom lost. Mukesh Ambani can buy anything on earth. He can build a $2 billion home. He can command a fleet worth $150 million. But he cannot walk down a street in his own city without 40 armed vehicles clearing the path. The price of being the richest is never being alone. The price of being untouchable is never being touched. If this story opened your eyes to a world most people never see, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for Billionaire Story. Because next time, we are pulling back the curtain on another empire that makes this one look like a warm-up.